Good afternoon. How we doing? This is the Joe Gaither Show right here on RoyalsCentral. You're checking us out on Kansas City Royals on SI, part of the Walsh Riding Network. We are here to talk about the Kansas City Royals. You're watching us on YouTube, on Facebook, and Twitter. Listening to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon. You can find me at Joe Gaither6 on your favorite social media machine. And we're going to talk about the Kansas City Royals, who have had a really, really good homestand. And so we want to close it out nicely with a big old win against the Tampa Bay Rays tonight on 4th of July. First and foremost, we want to wish all our viewers and listeners a happy 4th of July. I hope you eat a lot of hot dogs, have a steak or two, maybe a hamburger. Don't blow off your fingers with some fireworks. Enjoy the fireworks from a safe distance. And if you are the ignition man or woman, be very, very safe with your fireworks. Make sure you follow my friend Austin Bidwell as he is on the grounds in Kansas City covering the Kansas City Royals. You can find him on the Twitter machine at Austin from KC. He's been up inside Kauffman Stadium a lot this season. Austin, how are you doing today? You looking forward to a little 4th of July baseball?
Yeah, nothing better than some hot dogs, some baseball, and some fireworks. Hopefully the Royals, they're hoping for some fireworks tonight for some home team home runs. So we'll see how it goes.
It's been a really, really good homestand. You and I, we were just talking about it before we started. The Royals at 6-3 at home during this little break. They're closing it out tonight with the Tampa Bay Rays. What's going to be the key to going 7-3 on this homestand and really maximizing their time at home?
Yeah, they've been really good through the last, 6 games specifically since their start against the Cleveland Guardians. They won 3-4 with the Guardians. They lost the home game to the Rays, the first game to the Rays. And, little of that had to do with the offensive inconsistency, the only run, coming from Bobby Witt, coming from, the star player. But also you got hit with a rain delay, halfway through the game that lasted 2.5 hours. You have to play your starter. You have to go to a bullpen that's been struggling consistently throughout the year. So, that game, you lose it, but you look back at all the factors and you aren't too mad. But the games that we've seen the Royals really win and really dominate, they've scored a lot of runs. I believe they put up 10 runs against Cleveland one game. And the pitching has been consistently throughout. The Royals have consistently got to later innings with runs on the board and runs ahead of the other teams. That's allowed the bullpen some room to make mistakes, which they have been prone to do this season. So when you give them that cushion, you give them that room to make those mistakes. I think that's why we've seen the Royals kind of go out here and have a really good homestand. It's because they've got on the ball a lot better at home. They've hit the ball a lot better. And the starters, have been great as they have all season.
Yeah, I was impressed. I got to pinch hit for the Royals coverage, doing a little bit of live updates on that last Friday night. So almost a week ago. And yeah, it was a 10-3 victory over the Guardians. Alec Marsh was really, really dialed in. He gave up a first inning home run. But after that, it was basically lights out all the way through a 6-inning performance. And he got support after support after support every inning. It seemed like the Royals were bringing guys in at 4 home runs on the day. So it was a really consistent performance. How can you build off these performances and really take things further? Because, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me like you take 3 out of 4 against the Guardians, the AL Central leaders, you're basically signaling to your front office, don't you be sellers here in a month. We're buyers. We're in this thing. You take 3 out of 4 against the first place team. It's a great signal. How can you stay more consistent through July than maybe you were in June?
Yeah, so I think a great way to build consistency as a team is to look at what position groups have been inconsistent this year. Because you look at the starting rotation, you look at the, even the infield as a whole, they've been extremely consistent. When you talk about Bobby Witt, you talk about Michael Garcia, who, has had a down month in June, down a couple of weeks, but he was still great. He was still a very serviceable player. Vinny Pasquantino went on a tear there at home against the Guardians. Michael Massey's been back, and since he's been back, he has been extremely successful. And of course, you have guys like Salvador Perez and Freddie Fermin. So, I mean, the infield and the starting pitching has been fantastic. And I, recently wrote an article about this, about Royals, their midseason reviews and grade cards, depending on your position group. And those starting pitcher and infield spoiler alert, scored very highly on that, just because they've been great this year. But where we've seen inconsistencies is relief pitching and outfield play from, guys who come in late in the game and give up runs that cost the Royals big games. It's costing the starters wins. It's costing, the team playoff positioning. So I think if you want to gain consistency, you have to consistently play, at your highest level at position groups. Because the relievers had a good series against Cleveland. They came out, they had games where they shut down completely, had 0-run innings multiple times, but it's just the inability to do that most games, and I think that's what's costing the Royals a lot of games now. So whether that be you need to sign somebody, you need to bring someone up from the minor leagues, you need to go out there and tell your front office to go get somebody, something needs to be done to improve consistency, and I think that, in my opinion at least, has to do with bringing in new arms, new faces, and etc.
Austin, what's your fastball clocking in on the gun?
Little maybe do the viewers know, second grade, I was the meanest second baseman this side of the Mississippi. I think if I threw it my hardest, throw my arm out level, I could get it to the 70s.
You need to throw you in the bullpen, man, and give us 3 pitches.
I can learn a curveball. It might take me a year or two, but I'll figure it out.
All right, so you talked about the Tuesday game against the Rays, and obviously that did kind of put a little damper on the homestand series. But the Rays are not a bad baseball team. You're getting ready for tonight's game, big Friday night. You talked about the rain delay probably affecting the team on Tuesday. It's Dollar Dog Night on Tuesday. Do you think the vendors are like, oh my gosh, an extra 2-hour rain delay to be selling these dollar hot dogs? Are the vendors happy about that or upset about that? And how many hot dogs did you get to eat on Tuesday?
I'll tell you what, I have never seen rain come in the way it did at Kauffman that night. It went from clear to turn back around, and the rain was getting pushed sideways into the concourse and just hitting. It was ridiculous. I think the stadium cleared out pretty fast after that, so I think the vendors might have, I don't know, maybe some people grabbed them on the way out, but yeah, it was bad. I think that everybody who stayed after I think in the 8th inning or so, the Royals gave free vouchers for, a new game. Come see the Royals again without the rain for all the loyal fans. Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know how many hot dogs. I didn't get to have any hot dogs, up there in the press box. But if I was down there, I could do the 9-inning challenge. Just replace the beer with soda, and I got it.
We believe in you. It's 4th of July, and I've asked all of our correspondents this week, what is your go-to 4th of July food? So you're up, Austin Bidwell. Today is 4th of July. What are you making sure you're putting in your belly today?
If I had to choose burger, hot dog, I think I'm a burger guy. I'm gonna get me a burger, some corn on the cob, some fries or a big tail, something good. I'll probably have a hot dog just for the 4th of July spirit, though. You can't go 4th of July without a hot dog.
You're the first one this week to mention corn on the cob, and that is an excellent choice as a side. Get a little seasoning on it, little grill, a little butter. Yeah, that's an excellent side. I'm with you there. Let's keep going talking about the Kansas City Royals, and you guys can follow them on Kansas City Royals on SI, or if you're on the Twitter machine at RoyalsCentral FN, make sure you follow my friend Austin Bidwell at Austin from KC. Let's talk about Sunday's game. Seth Lugo pitches 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, but middle of the game, he takes a ball right off the arm, and obviously he stayed in the game. They put a nice little blue sleeve on his arm. But just making sure we got to check in on our starter. We got to check in on our ace. Is he it's doing okay since taking the shot off the arm?
Yeah. So first of all, that was a fantastic outing by Seth Lugo. One of the defining moments of the season and a defining moment of his season. But I have not heard anything from anybody to indicate that Seth Lugo is in any kind of danger, in any kind of pain right now, at least from what I have heard or what I have seen from the Royals clubhouse and, from people around the Royals. But I believe he's already scheduled to make his next appearance, his next start. So I think there should be optimism there and nothing to really worry about in terms of Lugo's health. Just continue to watch him shine and perform.
Well, he's had a great season so far, and we are all kind of looking ahead to the All-Star game. let's jump to the All-Star game, and that kind of some bad decisions have come out, and obviously, and maybe you can help me. Is this fan voting selecting the starters, or is it managerial? And how do they determine the All-Star game starter? Because two Kansas City Royals got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, I mean, the guys who beat out the Royals are, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they are not some of the best players in the league. When you look at, Gunnar Henderson this year specifically he's almost Bobby Witt Jr. for the Orioles in a way that he's 22, 23 years old. He's a franchise changer. He's very similar to Bobby. He hits more home runs. He steals less bases. He's less good at defense. Bobby at one point was second in the league at shortstops for outs over average or outs over replacement at 12 or plus 12. And then guy like Gunnar was at, I believe, plus 6, so still very good for a shortstop. And you really look at these guys, it's 1A and 1B because there is no number 2 in this conversation as shortstop. The guys are both phenomenal athletes, fantastic. Personally, I have seen Bobby play this season, and I think that he is one of the most special players in the league. I voted for him to be an all-star starter, but when a guy like Gunnar Henderson comes out and starts, and Bobby is still going to get his all-star nod, I'm not too mad at that. The one that I am actually more upset about is Salvador Perez not getting his all-star starter. I love Adley Rutschman. I think that he is also a key reason why the Orioles are one of, if not the best team in baseball this year. But again, I've been a Royals guy my whole life. So to see Salvi, and maybe what's one of his final seasons down the stretch not get that starter nod, that one definitely upset me a little bit because he's done a lot for the Royals. He's done a lot for the league. It's very surprising that the Royals fans didn't get him in there after, I believe in 2014, they sent Omar Infante to the All-Star game from pure All-Star fan voting. So I was actually really surprised to see that he didn't make that. But again, being an All-Star this late in his career, the fantastic season he's had, I don't think that it's a notch on his record to be an All-Star, not start behind Adley Rutschman. So, both the guys who got it deserved it. But I think both the guys who didn't get it also deserved it. So you can make an argument any way you wanted.
So I'm reading it's the starters are determined by fan voting, and so you look at the Orioles season, and obviously you see them right now as we're recording on Thursday, July 4th, leading the entire American League at 55-31. Royals still, we've talked about it 3 or 4 different times, having one of their best seasons in a while. Is this simply a case of, the Orioles fan base has finally felt some life? Because we talked about it beforehand. My whole life, the Orioles have been in the basement in the entire American League. So really, is it a knock on the Royals fans for not being behind their guys, or do you think it's more on the Orioles fan base for finally feeling some excitement?
Yeah, the Orioles were not good for so long that they're finally good. Their guys are finally there. So I think it absolutely is a little bit that. You don't want to knock Royals fans because Royals fans show up. You go to these games and they're pretty deep on a Monday night, to come see a guy like Seth Lugo, Cole Reagan's pitch, and you talk to the players, and I think that they all understand that and they all agree that these are great fans. So never want to knock the Royals fans. But I think that when you look at the Orioles, they're again one of the best teams in the league. And you're always going to have a little bias towards higher record teams. You look at any league in the world for sports. You look at the NFL, you look at the NBA, you look at the MLB. The best player usually is going to come from the best team. When you're talking about awards like MVPs or All-Star games, you're much more prone to win those awards when you play on a team that's beating other teams consistently and winning consistently. So I think it's a little bit of Orioles fans, really stepping in for their players. But I also think that's a little bit of the Orioles being good. I think national recognition is a lot higher on a team like the Orioles right now than it is on a team like the Royals. So it's not shocking. It's not surprising. And there's a lot of things to credit it for. So.
All right, so we are going to get all-star subs, basically the bench and pitchers on Sunday. You've already touched, we expect Bobby Witt, we expect Salvador Perez to be there. Are we expecting Seth Lugo to get the first nod in the pitcher slot, or first or second at least? What's your expectation as far as what we're going to find out on Sunday as far as the Royals' involvement and how many guys are going to be going from Kansas City to, it's going to be in Dallas, it's going to be just outside of Dallas for the All-Star game?
Yeah, so I think there's one guy that you should look for extremely specifically. Seth Lugo will be an All-Star. I would guarantee a lot of things on that. Whether he is an all-star starter, I am not sure, or if whether he is the all-star starter, I am not sure about. I believe right now that he has a lot of projections to be. I think that he has a lot of reason to be. I think he has a lot of standing to be. But if he is not one of those top two pitchers, I think that they got it wrong this year. And in terms of other guys that might have a shot at it, I can't think of another Royals pitcher who has really had a season to be an all-star. Cole Reagans has been good this season periodically, but I don't think his statistics really match up to what an all-star is. But you never know. There's guys that statistics don't always matter, and they just go out there and pitch. So,
do we think that Vinny Pasquantino has a chance to be on that list as far as a fielder? So we already expect Bobby Witt, we expect Salvador Perez. Any other fielders that we think might be joining those guys?
as much as I think Vinny deserves it, and I think that Vinny could be and might have a case to be, I don't think that his national recognition is enough to match up with some of the guys that we've seen get the nods already. There's a lot of really good, like Vladimir Guerrero. You got all these great first basemen in the league. It's hard. So I would say probably not, but it would be a welcome surprise for sure.
All right, well, let's start to look ahead into July, because here we are on July 4th. We're in the middle of the very first series of the month with the Tampa Bay Rays. You got a big game tonight to try to close it out. Fireworks at Kauffman Stadium, obviously, for 4th of July afterwards. But the Royals will hit the road after tonight. They're going to be playing against the Rockies. They're going to be playing against the Cardinals and against the Red Sox. So a chance to get some wins, but really, the Royals have not been good on the road. The Royals are under 500 on the road. What is it, 17-23? The Rockies are terrible, 29-57. The Cardinals just above 500, and the Red Sox also just a little bit behind the Royals in the total win column at 46-39. So two kind of good opponents and one terrible opponent. How do you overcome the road struggles, take advantage of the Rockies, and really hang in there with the Cardinals and the Red Sox?
Yeah, so the Rockies are always one of those weird teams to me that they suck. They really do. They're not a good baseball team, but you watch them play, and especially at home, they always seem to take a game. They play the Dodgers. I believe that's an interdivisional series, though. But they take a game. When they play in Coors, which is, I've been there. It's a beautiful ballpark. Mountains in the background. I mean, it's hard not to want to play good at Coors Field. But they seem to just play well. So I think that if you can go and take 2 games from Colorado, it's fine. Winning 3 should make almost every Royals fan ecstatic. It should make, it'll make the team ecstatic. Just be able to go out there and win a road series fully like that. And then you got games against the Cardinals, that's a rivalry game, maybe more for Royals fans than Cardinals fans at this point with the Cardinals Cubs, but Royals should care about those games. I think Cardinals fans care about those games too. So if they were able to go in there and pull 2 out of St. Louis, I think that would be that almost, in my opinion, would be more meaningful to the Royals than a complete sweep of the Rockies the series prior. But I think that they have to win one of those games. You cannot go into St. Louis and lose both of those games. I know the Cardinals are on the uptick right now. They've been better recently, but you cannot go in there and fall flat on your face. And then you go to Boston. That one's a little different. That Boston team they're good. I don't know what part of the rotation the Royals are going to hit just yet. But I believe that they are one of the better teams in baseball. I think that maybe we'll get another incident like last year where MJ Melendez broke a light with his double. I got to watch that game. That was a pretty fun game. Hit the ball straight into a Fenway light fixture in the outfield. I'm talking broke the top of the light bulb and fell in. It was crazy. But yeah, there's a lot of Fenway's also a really nice park. It's really cool. The Royals are hitting a lot of cool parks this week. They got Coors, Busch, and then Fenway back to back. But you hope they go in there and the series at some point is just don't fall flat on your face. You've made such good bounds at home. You've made such good series and progress, especially with the win today against the division lead, against having a good wild card spot. So having another disastrous road trip, kind of almost like the one they had last time they went on the road, is going to just be so harmful to this team's morale and this team's placement in the league right now.
All right, so educate me because I'm the Johnny come lately with baseball. Is it just, oh, it's really hard to win on the road? Or are the Royals just having some sort of focus issue? Or is there a what's the well, how would you chalk up the road struggles for Kansas City?
Uh, I would say Kansas City is one of the worst comparatively road teams against home teams in the league at this point, and I think a lot of that has to do with just for some reason I cannot pinpoint the reason. I couldn't tell you why they cannot hit the ball on the road. Their splits on the road against home are ridiculously different. I have no idea what it is. I couldn't tell you. Some players would just tell you, I just don't play good on the road. Some some pitchers would tell you that. Some hitters would tell you that. So I think the Royals just need to figure out what that is. I think that's an internal thing that they need to really go through and assess. But there's just something that's stopping them from playing well. They're not hitting the ball well. Certain pitchers are getting beat up early. It helps, the other teams that a lot of those road series were against good teams like the Dodgers. You have to go to LA, but you play bad teams like the A's on the road and you're losing too. So I could not tell you what it is, but it's clear there's something there.
All right, we got to get you next time you're in the clubhouse. Start asking the guys. I mean,
Yes.
I know it's a tough question, and it is a tough question. But hey, guys, you're playing so well at home. What do you think? Ask them what they think about the troubles on the road.
Next time I'm in the clubhouse, it'll be right after this road trip. So I'll if they don't perform well here, it's definitely a question that needs to be brought up.
Absolutely. Tell everybody what you're working on with RoyalsCentral, Kansas City Royals on SI over the next week. We'll catch up with you in between probably some of these road events, probably a week from today on that Thursday after the Rockies and Cardinals series, just before the Red Sox series and the All-Star break.
Yeah, so obviously we're going to have live updates and live coverage of all those games on Inside the Royals on Royals SI. We're going to have coverage. We're going to have gamers after. We're gonna anything that you need to follow those games we're gonna have for you, and obviously the work that Matthew does, Hunter does, that I've been trying to do with getting features out, getting you guys or the fans that want to read about the Royals to know more about the Royals. I just posted one yesterday or the day before again about the scorecards, and maybe as we get to the All-Star game we'll target our All-Stars a little more, talk about our All-Stars a little more. Trade deadlines in less than a month. So there's a lot coming up. There's a lot we got to cover, and I think that's all going to get covered, and it's going to be a lot of fun to do. And hopefully it's a lot of fun to read.
All right, next week we're hoping for tonight's game against the Rays. You got 2 against the Cardinals and 3, so that's 6 games, right? Mm-hmm. We're hoping for 4 and 2 and maybe a trade target or 2 to go get a bullpen arm. We'll talk about that on the next episode. How about that?
Hey. Make it 5 and 1, and we'll have a deal.
All right, that'll be great. We'll talk to you again next week. That's Austin Bidwell. Make sure you follow him at Austin from KC on the Twitter machine. Thanks for your time, Austin.
Yeah, have a great rest of your day.
Absolutely. And we hope you guys have a great rest of your day. It's 4th of July. Go celebrate it with your family, with your friends. Enjoy the baseball today. The Royals are getting started at 7:10 tonight in Kauffman Stadium against the Tampa Bay Rays. They're looking to take the series, looking to go 2 out of 3 against the Rays and really, really eat into the Guardians' lead in the AL Central. They have had a real good start to the year, but got to keep the pedal down as the second half of the year gets going. The All-Star break is coming up. We will be in Dallas. I don't know if we'll be at the game, but my friend Will Miller and myself will be in Dallas for SEC Media Days. So we'll be close to All-Star Game and the Home Run Derby, and we'll cover it all right here on RoyalsCentral and Kansas City Royals on SI.